Hola mundo, buenos dias. So I am remaking a video that I made in the past because YouTube disabled annotations where you could put text on the screen, so the video is super hard to follow along. So I'm making a new one, and if you have any questions while I'm doing this, feel free to put them in the chat box, and I'll try and monitor that as we're going. Before I get started, I'm going to tell you that in the description of the video, I'm going to put a link to a document, and that document is what I'm going to be talking about through this whole video. So if you're watching this, go ahead and open that up now, and you can follow along with that as we're going along. So here comes the link to the document. There we go. I'll put that in the description of the video as well. If you're on mobile, you should be able to look at the chat as well from your cell phone or whatever, and you can follow that way. So let me get myself ready to go here. Okay, if at any time you have any questions for me about this video or anything in general, let me know. Okay, so here we go. So we're looking at conditional sentences or if statements. These are things like, if I go to the store, I will buy chicken, or I will speak Spanish if I live in Mexico for 3 years. That's one type, is an if with the present and in the future. And then the other if statement that I'm going to talk about is where you do something like, if I played basketball, we would lose. So that's kind of like the past, and then the would is the conditional. So again, hopefully you're looking at the document. And the conditional sentences involve 4 different verb conjugations. And I have a few links here for you that you can use once you have the document open to take you to some videos if you need to review something. I don't have a present tense linked just because there are so many different videos on the present tense that pretty much if you've gotten this far, you probably are pretty strong with the present tense. If you need to review the future tense, the conditional, or the imperfect subjunctive, you should do that prior to continuing this video. The future tense and conditional, remember that for those conjugations, you don't remove the ending of the verb, and then you just add its new ending to it. So like I will speak, for example, in the future would be hablaré, where you just add the E and the accent mark over it. And the conditional is the same way. So I would speak would be hablaría. And then the imperfect subjunctive is a totally different conjugation, where this is just a super fast review. But you take the verb and the preterite, ellos form, or the third person plural, I guess. So like andar would go to anduvieron, and then you drop the on on it, and then you add the as, amos, ais, and on. So like andar in the yo form, imperfect subjunctive would be anduviera. And I'm going to show you how these work together here in a second. So please review those or learn them if you haven't learned them yet. So I mentioned a second ago 2 different types of conditional sentences, and these are on the document, so just follow along. The first one is using if with the present tense and in the future. And then I can flip that too and do future with if in the present tense. And you'll see both examples in a second. And then the other option is doing if with the imperfect subjunctive and then the conditional, or you can flip-flop it to conditional with the if and imperfect subjunctive. So some things. One, the word if in Spanish is sí. Yes, sí is also yes, but sí, yes, has an accent mark over the I. Sí, if does not have an accent mark on it. And before I look at the examples, do keep in mind that the if won't switch to the other verb tense. So like the first example on the document that you have there is if with the present tense. You're not going to put if with the future tense. Just for example, this would sound weird if I said, here's a correct sentence. If I go to the store, I will buy chicken. So if I move that if to the future part, it would be, I go to the store if I will buy chicken. Like it just doesn't make any sense, right? So it sounds right in Spanish to have the if with the present tense and not with the future. So let's look at a couple of different examples. The first one is, si yo voy al supermercado, compraré la leche. So if I go to the supermarket, I will buy milk. And then you can flip the order of the verbs in there and say, compraré la leche si voy al supermercado. So I will buy milk if I go to the supermarket. Let's look at the next one. Next one I made a question for you, which is, jugarás al baloncesto si vienes a mi escuela? Will you play basketball if you come to my school? And then I can flip it and say, if you come to my school, will you play basketball? Si vienes a mi escuela, jugarás al baloncesto? And then notice that the if stays with the present tense. It doesn't go with the future. So let's look at the other examples of it. And I have if with the imperfect subjunctive and then the conditional. A couple examples. Si ganara, and I didn't put the subject on there, but I can add it now. All right. Si yo ganara la lotería, compraría una casa grande. If I won the lottery, I would buy a big house. And I can flip that and say I would buy a big house if I won the lottery. Compraría una casa grande si ganara la lotería. I'll give you one more example here. We have surfearía más si viviera en Puerto Rico. I would surf more if I lived in Puerto Rico. And again, you can flip it and say si viviera en Puerto Rico, surfearía más. If I lived in Puerto Rico, I would surf more. So if you want to practice this, again, these are hard and they don't come super naturally to an Anglo-Sajon or an English speaker. So you might want to pause the video and take a second to jot these down, see if you can get them right. And I'll tell you the answers in a second. The answers are in the document, by the way. So if you want to just jump forward, you can, or wait, it doesn't matter to me. And I put a few notes on there for vocabulary in case you weren't sure which words or verbs to use. Feel free to pause the video, look up anything else up on your preferred dictionary website if there's another word in there that you've forgotten. So if you want to pause the video and do that now. And I'm going to scroll down just 2 seconds and start giving you the answers. Okay, so I just put the answers directly beneath the original sentences. So the first one, if I clean the house, my wife will be happy. So it's si yo limpio la casa, mi esposa estará feliz. The second one, my brother will play it if we also go, or we go also. Mi hermano jugará si vamos también. The next one is if she worked here, we would get free clothing. Si ella trabajara aquí, conseguiríamos ropa gratis. And then the last one, they would have good grades if they studied more. Ellos tendrían buenas notas si estudiaran más. That's all I have for this video. Just kind of remember that like the future tense is will do something. The conditional is the would do something. And then the imperfect subjunctive is the past subjunctive, basically. And the formation of that is its own complex thing. That's kind of it for this video. It's a lot in one thing, but that's kind of how it works. If you have questions for me, let me know in the comment section. And again, that document's available to you if you want to print it off or take it with you for notes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.